It's time for Taking Care of Business on Midlands 103. With thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Taking Care of Business. I'm Ronan Berry, and coming up between now and 8 o'clock, what happens when a founder spots a real factory floor problem and builds an AI product around it? Well, Conor Temple will explain how Rheba.ai is helping engineers get faster, traceable answers from technical documents and what it takes to turn a strong industrial idea into a trusted, scalable business. That's all coming up very, very shortly. But what do Midlands businesses need right now? Is it stronger networks, better skills pipelines, or more practical ways to respond to uncertainty? And Tommy Hogan, the CEO of Athlone Chamber, and Shane Ryan, head of the Faculty of Business and Hospitality at TUS, will join me later to discuss the new Midlands Business Summit that's coming to Athlone next month and how business and education can work together to support regional growth. And what happens when a region gets a chance to celebrate the businesses that truly stand out for customer excellence? Nathan Green will join me later to discuss the Midlands 103 Customer Service Awards, why they matter for businesses across the region and why now is time for you to get your nominations in. That and a few more things coming up between now and then. If you want to join this evening's conversation, you can do so by text or WhatsApp on 083 30 10 103. Or if you have a story or an idea you'd like to put forward for the show, business@midlands103.com is the best way to get in touch. But I'm going to begin this evening by paying tribute to one of Offaly's most respected business leaders, also a pillar of the community when it came to things like the GAA, history and so many other things. I'm talking about the passing of Kieran Keenaghan, one of the founders of Banagher Precast Concrete. He was a civil engineer by training. He went on to build a remarkable legacy through Banagher Concrete, through his contribution to Offaly GAA and through his deep commitment to local history, heritage and the wider community. Tom Parlon is the current chairman of Offaly GAA and served as Secretary General of the Construction Industry Federation from 2007 to 2022. He joins me now to reflect on Kieran's life, his influence and the legacy he leaves behind. Public tributes have described him as an extraordinary man, an extraordinary figure for Offaly, for the Midlands and indeed for Irish business. Is that a very fitting place to start, Tom, describing him as extraordinary?
Yeah, certainly, Ronan. He was extraordinary. And you could say, well, what was extraordinary about him? But he had a big presence for a start. He was always very colourful. Every time he dressed, he had something colourful on him. But he was totally grounded. And, I met one of the top engineers, the MD of one of the biggest civil engineering companies at his funeral in Banagher on Sunday, John Pentony, who has built a lot of the big bridges, the big motorways and so on. And he just said that, Kieran was ahead of him at college and he just was an extraordinary, respected engineer. And the innovation that they came up with in Banagher that, was internal to Banagher. And I was very lucky, Ronan, he was chairman, continued right until the day he died, Lord rest him, as chairman of the new development that we're planning in the Faithful Fields, even though he had been central to the original one, which is a great success. But he had obviously got the bad news that there was no more treatment and he was going home for palliative care. And he said to Christy Todd, who works there full time, that I'm thinking of telling Tom I'm going to resign from the committee. And Christy said, no, geez, don't. He said, wait till I get Tom to ring you. And I rang him and had that bit of a difficult, awkward conversation. He was very candid. He more or less, said, it's all over for me. I'm just going to see out the next while and so on. And I said, could I come down and see you? And he said, come on, of course, we'll have the chat. And I spent 2.5 wonderful hours with him. And when we got chatting, I talked all about his start out in Banagher and the projects they did. And he's just an incredible man. And his love for the GAA and his love for his local community, on top of all the other business that he ran. He was the MD of Banagher Concrete for nearly 40 years, and a company that employed up to 500 people at its peak and would be employing about 270 people now. So an extraordinary man, and there was no end to the service and to the commitment he wanted to give to Offaly GAA and particularly to the Faithful Fields and to have facilities for young Offaly people.
Yeah, to create a business of that nature in Banagher, and yourself being from Coolderry, you're in rural part of Ireland there, to do that to that scale, to expand into the UK, and you mentioned bridges and beams. How often or how many times a year do we see a press release about the largest beam or the biggest bridge span all coming and emanating out of Banagher, and really all part of his vision as well. From a construction perspective, you've mentioned there he's got the tributes from the highest, the biggest businesses around the land. What was it that really set him apart though when it came? Was his ability to do a deal? Was it design? Was it all of the above?
Well, all of them. And he did say to me that one of his luckiest days. Now, as we all know, we can all say we're lucky, but you have to sort of make your luck as well. A young fella, he said, rode into his back of his house in Banagher one Sunday evening on a motorbike and said he was looking for a job. And it was a chap called Eamon Stack who just qualified from Galway University as a civil engineer. Had a chat with Kieran, and Kieran said, "You can start in the morning." And Eamon Stack has turned out to be one of the most eminent engineers in terms of precast concrete in Europe, I'd say, and it still works there in terms of the design and so on. So Kieran obviously had the facility to identify that in him at a very early stage, and the loyalty that he's been there ever since and made a wonderful career and so on. So, but when they started, he started working in Bantile, which at that time was a company ahead of itself. Now we're talking about modular buildings and precast and off-site building. But Bantile was that sort of 50 years ago. But clearly, he told me the model didn't work. They were spending a lot of money having to go out and construct the buildings on site. And he said we'd send a team up to Donegal and they might be up there for days. So that went into receivership. And Kieran went working down in the dairy industry down in Charleville. But then when the receivers came in and decided to sell off the premises a couple of years later, Kieran came back and together with Podge Mulhere and John Flanagan from Tullamore and a few others, 5 of them all together, put the original money together and started up the business again. And they started off modestly enough. But I suppose the big breakthrough they had initially was in gang slats for cattle. Initially, slats were made as individual beams. But Banagher came up with the idea of putting 5 or 6 of these beams together in a gang slat, and they were very popular. And I'd say there's hardly a farm in Ireland that hasn't got Banagher gang slats now. So that was the bread and butter. But then they started off with the very, very high quality engineering for the bridge beams, for motorways, for doing the business on site. And the most recent one, the biggest one you mentioned, the biggest beam ever cast, went down to the Macroom bypass, 50 metres long. And if you can imagine 50 metres long, built in Banagher and transported then by Whitton haulage. And the chicanery they had to do to get through Burr, was amazing. They had to reverse into the March Yard, go out to Tullamore Road. They were allowed to go into Loughnane Concrete Yard. They cleared the whole yard, did a massive big UE inside, came back out and down through Burr and onto Roscrea and onto the motorway and eventually down to the site. But even lifting a 50-metre, it was a massive project. But nobody else in Europe or England or Ireland ever made such a scale of a beam. And that's just typical of what.
And that's it. And there's components supplied to famous stadia over in the UK, like so many massive infrastructure projects that the list is endless at this stage. But I know his involvement with
Everton Stadium, they've done it. Croke Park, of course, and the Aviva, and both O'Connor Park and Portlaoise as well. So, all that stuff has been made so easier now for contractors to come in. The Banagher truck pulls in, the crane is there and lifts it. As to when that has to be cast on site, it just slowed the whole project down and needed twice as much manpower.
You mentioned at the start too his involvement with the Faithful Fields. Again, when the first round of that was pitched many years ago, some people were sceptical, they were hesitant whether what was needed. I think recent success on the pitch has probably answered that question, but there was another phase as well, and again, having somebody like Kieran on board really was a game changer.
Yeah, but his personal generosity in what he gave himself, in what he gave through Banagher, was massive. But he had the personality, and he was a big enough personality that if he engaged with other business people, they didn't say no to him. And the first Faithful Fields was built without any debt, an extraordinary achievement. And it's still, even though we're now want to expand it and double it up, because it's so successful, it's a model for other counties. And people come to train there and come to play, and I travel around to other, and people are in awe of the fabulous facility we have in the Faithful Fields, and both in terms of his engineering expertise in terms of making decisions about it and so on. And likewise, but most particularly, his fundraising and his direction of a committee and his ability to work with people and bring people with him.
Tom, if you had a final thought to sum up Kieran Keenaghan, what would it be?
Well, look, I actually love the man, and I'm going to miss him so much. And I spoke to Christy Todd today, and he said it's a lonely place around here today. So he's going to be a massive loss to Offaly. But as you said at the outset, he has a fantastic legacy, and his name will live on because, you know, he's left such a mark both in terms of engineering, in terms of business. And I think one other big thing, I met a chap who told me that 40 years ago he had started playing hurling with Offaly as a young 16-year-old. And Kieran contacted his house and he said to his father, tell that young fella to call in and see me on Monday morning. And he called in at 10 o'clock and Kieran was sitting at his desk. He put down 3 envelopes. He said, there's 3 apprenticeships for you. You can do engineering, you can do carpentry, or you can do plumbing. And he said, I will sponsor you, whichever one you want to do. He picked carpentry, and this is 40 years on. He's working in a very senior position with one of the top construction firms in Dublin, overseeing some of the biggest sites being built. And he put it all down to Kieran Keenaghan and his generosity and his vision for inviting him in and seeing promise in him. And he's done that, I'd say, with hundreds of young Offaly lads.
That's exactly it. The full impact we'll probably never know. But Tom Parlon, thank you so much for that heartfelt tribute to a fantastic man this evening.
You're very welcome, and I'm delighted to get the opportunity to do it.
Not at all, an absolute pleasure. As you can we could spend an hour or two talking about him and paying tribute. You know, we didn't touch on stuff like his involvement with history and local history, and of course being a co-author of the book That Beats Banagher. That was only last year that book was launched as well. To his wife Sheila, his children Raymond, Julian and Kate, and his brother Oliver and his extended family and his cherished grandchildren, we must pass on our condolences from myself and everybody here in Midlands 103 to the family of Kieran Keenaghan. And thank you to Tom Parlon there for that beautiful tribute as well. Stay tuned. After the break, we're going to learn about the inaugural Athlone Business Summit.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Still to come on this week's episode, you'll hear about Rheba.ai, a product designed to really take away one of the biggest pain points in any factory or any setting where people have to consult technical manuals and they cannot find the answer they're looking for. Well, who would have ever thought it? Hey, AI has the solution. And even better, the person behind it is from Athlone, and he'll be here very shortly to tell us all about that. But I'm going to stick with Athlone because, like you often hear in this show, businesses around the Midlands are facing a mix of opportunity and pressure, a bit of everything in between. Last week we heard Dr. Leo Harris talk about a perma-crisis that seems to be just everywhere at the minute as well. But from skills shortages and digital change to cost pressure and global instability. But a new event next month aims to bring those issues into one room. Tommy Hogan is the CEO of Athlone Chamber and Shana Ryan is Dean of the Faculty of Business and Hospitality in TUS Athlone. And they're here now to discuss the inaugural Midlands Business Summit, what it's trying to achieve, who it's for, and why closer collaboration between business, education and regional leadership matters now more than ever. The summit will take place on the 15th of May and the two guys are here to tell me all about it now. Good evening, Shana. Evening, Tommy.
Good evening, Ronan. How are you?
Shana, talk to us about the idea and the kind of the concept behind this inaugural Midlands Business Summit.
Well, Ronan, thank you very much for the opportunity. And as you were saying, this is the inaugural running of the Midlands Business Summit, and it's a collaboration between the Faculty of Business and Hospitality in TUS and Athlone and our partners at Athlone Chamber of Commerce. So we're looking forward to an exciting event on the 15th of May. And really we're inviting all the business leaders of the region to look at kind of key strategic issues within the business, particularly around leading businesses, building resilience in their business, and also providing opportunities for growth within the business. So we have 3 main keynote speakers. We have Martin McVicker, who's the CEO and the founder of CombiLift. We have Aoife Byrne, who's the CEO of the Mergon Group. And we also have Dr. John McNamara, who's Head of Sustainability with Board Namona. So during the event, which is on the morning of the 15th of May, all the attendees will get a great opportunity to listen to their experiences in leadership roles and to take learnings from the event so they can bring them back to their own businesses.
There's 3 companies you mentioned. If you just calculate the employee numbers of those 3 alone, it's hugely significant, not just in the Midlands, but right across the country and indeed across the world as well. You've obviously saw a gap in the regional business calendar, Tommy. Was it important for the Chamber to come together with TUS on this?
Yeah, sure, certainly was, Ronan. TUS, having a university in Athlone is a huge resource for us to be able to draw on. So it's certainly a fantastic opportunity for us to collaborate with TUS on delivering an event of this scale. The speakers we have are remarkable. The companies they represent are remarkable. And the topics we're looking to address in particular, leadership and sustainability, are the two things we're really looking to cover. And that's not by accident either. That's where we reached out to our membership early on in the year and we asked them what was it they wanted us to look at. And those 2 topics came out on top. So that's why when the opportunity came up with Shana and his team to look at an event like this, we suggested looking at leadership and sustainability. So we're very excited about what's going to come on the 15th.
The Chamber represents a vast array of organisations. Is there a particular target person or target business you have in mind for this?
I don't think so, Ronan. I think this has something for everybody. Like the Chamber represents solopreneurs all the way up to the biggest companies in the Midlands. And I think there's going to be something for everybody to take away from this. Our keynote speaker has a very unique journey and he'll have some unique experiences to share. And there'll be something there for everybody. And when our panellists, Aoife and John speak, there'll be something there for them as well in terms of sustainability. The climate change agenda is not going to go away, so it's going to be on everybody's agenda for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think the climate change agenda is certainly not going away, but I think sustainability possibly being looked at as well. It's a way of actually bringing a bit of cost savings into a business too. Shana, we touched at the start here saying how the collaboration between business, academia and business leadership around the region is important as well. Is that something personally that you felt needs to be driven to and hence the reason for pulling together an event like this?
Yeah, I think, Ronan, it's important that, and you mentioned in your last contribution, that the importance and the significance of regional business. Particularly in the Midlands region. And I suppose from an academic point of view, it's critically important that as a university that we take our own leadership role in making sure that we can make those connections between academia and industry. And I think the opportunity that the Midlands Business Summit allows us to increase our I suppose connection with our local region and indeed with our local businesses, and give the opportunity for local businesses to learn from each other as well.
In both your roles, you're constantly probably trying to deal with change and an incredible pace of change. Like 10, 20 years ago, Shana, case studies you were studying at university level might have been 10, 20 years old. How do you keep up with the pace of change these days and deliver then back, for the very businesses and the community around you? And
I think, Ronan, that's a huge challenge for academia to make sure that, our education programs that we provide, that they're industry relevant, that they're research informed and that they're current. And I think what the summit allows us to do is to prioritise what's happening in businesses currently and to make sure that we can bring that learning back into the classroom so that the graduates of tomorrow are ready to make a huge contribution to regional businesses.
Tommy, you of course you're getting that feedback from your members too, so you're able to feed that into institutions like TUS then.
Exactly. I was just going to come in on what Shana was saying there, because what's really encouraging is to see how responsive TUS is to what's happening in the real world, what's happening in the economy. And there's a strong focus in TUS that their courses align with industry needs. And one of the things that we see is all of the courses that TUS deliver, an internship is part of the programme. So all students get hands-on, real-world experience as part of their education. And that's invaluable when a student then graduates and goes into the working world.
Shana, your department, it's business and hospitality too. Again, a sector that both has faced a lot of challenges over the years, but yet there's been a lot of releases around strategies and that type of thing as well. Is it still as vibrant as it ever was? And are people generally enthusiastic about the future of hospitality, and particularly here regionally.
Yeah, they are, Ronan, and obviously every sector has its own difficulties and goes through its own economic cycles as well. But I think it's important for us in academia as well to make sure that we have the graduates ready to take up the changing roles within those various sectors. And obviously sustainability is a key challenge for the hospitality industry, innovation, changing customer needs, and it's really, really important that our programmes have those factored into them and that we stay relevant and current.
Because over the last 10 years in particular, we seem to be going from one, call it crisis, into the next, Brexit, into the COVID, into the war in Ukraine, now the instability in the Middle East as well. How do you find, Tommy, members, are they looking at that going, right, it's affecting me in terms of cost, but I'll get over, are people just... Are they just sick of bloody constant price at this stage?
There's no denying that people are probably sick of trouble. I mean, I'm sick of hearing things, and I'm not at the cold face like a business person is. But the thing about business people is they're all remarkably resilient people, and they get up every day to deliver a service or a product or whatever it is because they love doing what they're doing. So that between resilience and love of their job will carry them through from one crisis to the next. But I have absolute faith in the business people of Athlone to get through whatever crisis we face. So I'm enthusiastic that this summit will give them a platform to learn some of the key skills they need to try and weather a storm.
And it's really bringing a bit of extra visibility to the Midlands region, like certainly from a national thing as well. I think it's a commendable idea. Talk us through the actual day, like how can people find out about it? How can they register? Is it free to go? And what time is it on from?
Yeah, so it is free to go. It's starting at 9:30 in the morning and it'll run until 12 o'clock. So we're conscious we want to be able to get the information people want, get it to them as quickly as possible so they can get on with the rest of their day or start their weekend early. To be able to book it, you can go onto the TUS website and to the events page or even the Athlone Chamber events page, and you can book your ticket through that, and it is free.
Absolutely good there. Shana, this is the inaugural event, but do you see this becoming a series or an annual event?
Oh, certainly, Ronan, and I think there will be further developments next year as well, because I think the closer the collaboration that TUS has with the Athlone Chamber, it can only be of benefit to the region. And I think as Tommy has mentioned, it's also important that we continue to showcase the great impact that local businesses have on the regional economy.
Well, I mean, a business like Maragon, I mean, never mind from the growth they've had and the service and the products they make, but from a sustainability, they're one of the leaders out there. So hearing from Aoife will be extremely valuable for any business out there. Our businesses, are they optimistic in terms of meeting sustainability needs, do you think, overall? As it become less of a challenge, but more something that people now feel maybe like actually passionate about delivering upon?
Yeah, and I think Ronan, it's also there's obviously issues in terms of saving costs within the business, but it's critically important as a source of competitive advantage as well, because those businesses are continually innovating. They're in very, very competitive markets. So any functional area, be it sustainability or be it talent management or strategic management, anything that gives those businesses that additional edge, I think is critically important. And on the day, there's also the opportunity for those businesses to meet fellow business leaders and to share their experiences and to share what they're doing in their businesses that's making an impact as well.
Tommy, like at the Athlone Chamber, you've had great success with your Business After Hours event, and I know Tullamore are doing similar. And those networking events, it's like they're reconnecting and finally realising again that it's hard to beat pressing the flesh with people.
Absolutely. Like since COVID, people have realised the value of that one-to-one connection, and even though we live in a digital age, you can't beat a handshake and a cup of coffee and a chat. So our networking events are hugely successful. I know other chambers are very successful with them as well. I think they're the cornerstone of everything that we do, and we always build in a networking aspect to the events that we run. And we're delighted to be able to host this particular part of it out in the Mary Ward building in TUS.
Fantastic venue, fantastic event, I think, and a very commendable initiative, and hopefully the start of something big. And they'll be travelling from all over the country to get to it eventually. Shana Ryan and Tommy Hogan. Sorry, Tommy has a very, very important message he wants to get in.
I have one other thing I have to say.
Go for it.
I have to do this. I want to wish two very important ladies a very happy birthday tomorrow. My nieces Kate and Hannah Brophy. They turn the big 1-2 tomorrow. They're both 12 years of age tomorrow, so I want to wish them both a very happy birthday.
You just did it well. Happy birthday, girls, and enjoy the day and enjoy the celebrations and a bit of cake as well. Tommy and Shayna, thank you so much for that, and best of luck with that event as well. Time now for a quick break, but after that you're going to meet an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur from Athlone who, when you hear his idea, you'll kind of go, oh God, I could have done with that years ago myself. Never mind in an industrial setting, but even in the house. So if you've ever fiddled with a DVD player or a skybox or a television or whatever it is, stay tuned. But just imagine that on a mass industrial scale and hear about this really innovative solution that's coming out of Athlone.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Still to come, find out how you can get that business or person who just continuously delivers excellent customer service, how you can get them on the shortlist for the Midlands 103 Hospitality Awards. But before that, and I touched on this before the break, but any one of you who has worked in manufacturing knows the frustration of trying to find the right answer in a massive big binder or a PDF folder or a machine manual when time is tight and downtime is expensive. Well, Conor Temple is the founder of Rheba.ai, a new maintenance intelligence platform designed to help engineers and technicians get fast, traceable answers from equipment manuals and technical documents. He's here with me now to discuss where the idea came from, how we move from concept to prototype and pilot, and what it'll take to get a product like this installed in a live industrial setting. A quick hint, he has it operating somewhere. He can't tell us where it is just yet, but he'll tell us about that trial. But also we'll discuss the bigger challenges then of scaling a high-trust manufacturing technology. Conor, you're very welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Thanks very much,
Ronan. I had a little insight into this on Friday evening, but just give us the backstory to how this idea came about, because I think many people will empathise with it.
So I was with a customer who had sold 2 large industrial machines. I won't go into the details on them, but they were about 6 weeks late. They'd just been commissioned. They were 200 grand a piece, and I was standing in front of these 2 project managers who were happy that they're finally working, and I'm training them up, and fault 17 shows up. Now, I have no idea what fault 17 is, and they're looking at me. I'm starting to look worried, and there's a lot of tension in the room. So I had 2 options. I could pull out the 1,000-page manual that was stored in the machine, or I could chance looking it up on ChatGPT and see what answer it gives me. So I took the latter because the other one could have taken 10-15 minutes. So I checked ChatGPT, it gave me this beautiful answer and looked correct. And then at the last minute I decided I wouldn't do that. So I took out the manual, spent about 10 or 15 minutes with these guys staring at me, and eventually found the answer. It was just a misaligned sensor. I spent 2 minutes realigning, it was fine, everything worked, it was perfect. I then later checked the ChatGPT answer, and it would have done about 30,000 euros worth of damage to the machine and about a 6-week lead time from Germany. So it would have been a really, really bad situation if I had gone ahead and done what it had said.
Yeah, so bear in mind, as we're constantly told, it's designed to please us and tell us what we want to hear. But it sounds like you had the foresight as well to make the correct decision on it. So you'd clearly identified a pain point, and one, I've been there myself. I've been waiting to commission plants, and people are wanting you to turn it on and let's see it working, and they're troubleshooting, trying to find these things. I think many of us have been there. This is where you saw an opportunity then. I suppose AI, the tool you're using, wasn't giving you the answer. You went looking to create a solution then.
That's it. So I created Rheba then. So Rheba allows you to store all your manuals for all your different types of equipment. Then if you have a fault and you need to get the technical information on it to fix it, you tell it what machine you're working on, then you ask it the question. So if you're changing a roller on a conveyor, whatever you're doing, it'll tell you exactly how to do that. But what it'll do is it'll pull the information out of the manual, it'll give you an AI generated answer, but underneath the answer, it'll pull out the exact page from the exact manual and show you whatever diagrams and the actual information in writing on the page. So in 5-10 seconds, you're able to verify that all the information is correct and see any diagrams and things that you might need.
And what's coming to mind is if you search YouTube, say, give you a simple example. If you have a car key, you want to change the battery, and there's a little knack to them. So the quickest way sometimes is to check on YouTube. Invariably, you might get a video of a key that's slightly different than yours, different model car. So you're kind of left trying to find, whereas your system is bringing you to the precise information for that particular component.
Absolutely, yeah. So it brings you to the exact information really, really quickly. And yeah, so that's exactly... Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Yeah, so it gets you there really quickly.
How did you then take that and go, there's an opportunity here? Or did you go, well, somebody's probably already done this? And how did you say, well, no, I can actually develop this, find a niche? And how did that process start? Like, was it fairly quick from that point, or did you sit on it for a while?
So I probably sat on it for a little while. There are similar systems out there, but what they'll do is they will tell you that on page 76 in the manual it says this, but you've no way of verifying it unless you actually go out of the app, look through the manual, find page 76 and actually check that what it's telling you is correct. And in most of these companies, the way that the PDF documents for manuals are stored, they're lost in a sea of folders on SharePoint or Google Drive or something like that, and it takes an incredibly long amount of time to actually find what you're looking for.
How does the system work? What's involved from a technology perspective? Did you write the software behind it then? How did you do that? Because you're obviously you're not behind the curve when it comes to developing things like this, I'd imagine. Yeah,
so I suppose there was a bit of a learning curve because I didn't know how to code before I started doing this. And I suppose I've had to rebuild the system multiple times because, it's quite complicated to actually get it right. So even the first time I built it, I had got it to work great when I had 3-4 manuals in it. And then I managed to get into the place where I'm doing a trial at the moment. And then I had to put in 57 manuals, and I put in the 57 manuals. Then I found the whole system was broke, and I had to completely redesign the whole system and build it again, and with a lot more security in mind and scalability. But
that's fascinating that you're hitting those scaling challenges already, because this is still a relatively new concept, and we're not going to name the premises, but it's in the Midlands. And it's absolutely enormous, and one of the most state-of-the-art facilities of its type in the world. So getting in there as a starting point was pretty good. Were you not daunted by that, or how did you go about even trusting your own product in that environment?
Yeah, I suppose it was a little bit daunting, and I suppose the idea of failure is a little bit daunting too. But I suppose you kind of just... I suppose I've always kind of thought you just give it a go and see how it works out. And before I went in there, I had all of their documents and things, and I made sure that it was 100% perfect before I brought it in. Now, I did have one issue in that it may not have been as clear how to use it before. It may not have been as clear as I thought it was as to how to use it. Sorry.
But again, this stands to you as the developer of a tech product, and particularly, when you're looking, and we'll touch on that now in a second, to grow it, because you're already troubleshooting, you're testing it, you have it on trial, you've already learned the challenges of scaling, particularly in terms of the server sizes and storing that documentation. Sometimes for people, this takes years for them to learn that, and they get kind of steadfastly just stuck on the original idea. So yours is evolving and developing, but it's working for this trial customer.
Yes, yeah, so it's working.
So are you beginning to get line of sight now on data around maybe time saving, or are they working on gathering that for you? Because that'll be a key thing.
Yes, so I'm trying to gather as much data as I can. So currently I have a rough idea of how much time it takes for them to get data when they need it now, which actually involves them leaving the area where they're working on a machine. They have to walk, which could be up to 5-10 minutes, to the office and actually go onto the computer and search for the file, then go back to the area once they've gotten the information. So there's a massive time saving, and if you've got a production manager who's screaming because the machine's broken down and they need it back up and running as fast as possible. Every minute counts.
You're talking classic lean language now, like, reducing the amount of time lost, wasted by people walking around searching it lean. We talk about tools or components, but I've never heard anybody speak about that from the point of view of the manuals, because we probably don't need them that often. But I'm getting the sense that when we do, we lose an awful lot of time as well. Where does it go from here then? Like, I'm thinking somebody needs to connect you with Toyota in Japan here, because I haven't even heard them do this. There's amazing companies around the Midlands who are at a high level in terms of lean management, and I'm sure when they're listening, they're kind of going, okay, this guy's on to something here. Where are you in your journey now? What do you need next to really,
Yeah, so I suppose what I kind of want to do is get some data on how well the software works in practice. If there's any improvements that need to be made, implement them, and then get into more customers. I come from a sales background, so getting it into more places isn't the part of the problem that I have. It's just making sure that it's ready for me to go out and put it into 50 factories.
Have you an idea, without you have to tell me the answer, but do you know kind of what it might cost you to get it to the level that you want in order to start generating revenue? Are you starting to tap and knock on people's doors around potential investment or anything like that?
Yes. So I will be talking to investors soon, but I won't go into too many details on it for the moment.
That's because the speed you're at already, you'll probably be doing this next week anyway, and then moving on as well. When did you start? It was only August last year, really, this started?
Yes, so it was August now. There was a little bit of I suppose I hadn't really taken any break from work in years before that, and I used to work through all my holidays, so I spent a little bit of time travelling and then really got down to business. Building the product, I suppose, took a lot longer than I'd originally anticipated. But
this is the typical founder's journey, by the sounds of it. Like, all these little challenges. But it's encouraging that you're meeting these, you're overcoming them, and you're moving on to the next stage of evolution on it. And look, if anybody's listening and they want to get in touch with Conor, Rheba.ai, Rheba.ai. It's a fabulous website. If you look at it, to paraphrase a famous advert, it is exactly what it says on the tin. And I think if you've experienced that pain point that Conor has referenced there, you'll understand where he's coming from with his product as well. And I'm putting him down as one to watch for 2026 into 2027. Conor Temple, thank you so much for coming over this evening, and the very best of luck with Rheba.ai.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Not at all. It's a journey I'm looking forward to following too. Time for a quick break. After that though, you know that person in a business, irrespective of what sector it is, or that particular business, be it large or small, that you kind of constantly get great customer service at? Well, you can get them shortlisted for a major Midlands award. Find out how in just a couple of moments.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Do you know when you go in somewhere, you get fantastic customer service, and it turns out you pretty much always do. It's a person or it's a team of people or just a business that makes you feel better about engaging with them and buying their service or their products as well. Well, there is a way you can get them nominated for a major Midlands award, because the Midlands 103 Customer Service Awards are now open for nominations, with the 2026 ceremony taking place on Monday the 8th of June in the Tullamore Court Hotel. There are numerous categories that you can nominate people, get them on the shortlist and hopefully get them awarded on the night. But to find out more about those and particular categories that really you should get behind, because it's just so important for people to get that recognition, I'd like to be joined by Business Development Manager at Midlands 103, Nathan Green. Good evening, Nathan.
Good evening, Ronan. How are you?
Nathan, it's that time of year again. The Customer Service Awards are back on. The nominations are open on midlands103.com, but the clock is ticking.
They are, yes. So we have a day left in the nominations. Really excited. So they close tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. sharp. We have had thousands of nominations come in already. It was overwhelming, quite honestly. Seeing all of our listeners send in, of course, their favourite dentists, their favourite opticians, their favourite boutiques, even, where you can get your wedding dresses. So bridal boutiques Some really nice nominations coming in there, and especially kind of our agri sector and supporting across our agri sector. So we have 2 awards in that category as well this year. But yeah, no, it's been great overall. The running of the event has been quite smooth sailing. So fingers crossed it stays that way.
Absolutely. As I said, there's pretty much a category there for the most of the business people are interacting with on a daily or weekly basis too. Any particular awards or categories that you particularly stand out with you this season?
Yeah, personally, because I wear glasses, Optician of the Year is one of them. So I know myself personally, I'm a bit biased here, but Orla Cooney in Athlone is who I'd go to. And I know that she's quite incredible at what she does, and she deserves the recognition behind that customer service. And I'm sure there's other people across the Midlands that have the same, that go to an optician in particular that they like, or even go to a florist in particular that they like. And then the hair and beauty sector is another one altogether. So, we're not shy of nominations for the hair and beauty sector, that's for sure. Like we have a Makeup Artist of the Year, we have Spa of the Year, there's plenty of them across the board that cover all areas of people's personal lives and business.
Always hotly contested categories too as well. But even at the one that's a popular one, and I think it might have been on the list last year, but it's great to see it back, Butcher of the Year, because so many outstanding butchers in the towns around the Midlands, and it's a great chance to get them on that shortlist.
Yeah, absolutely. And you reminded me of another one that we have added this year, and it's an incredible award, and it's incredible to see all of the local retailers that come into it, and that brings us to the Local Retailer of the Year award as well. Butchers of the Year, I've seen a few nice nominations in there and incredible people across the Midlands. So it's exciting to be able to reach out to them come Thursday and Friday and let them know that they've been nominated. And then, of course, seeing the incredible submissions that I'm sure they're going to send back in with that for our independent judging panel.
And of course, there's an award there as well for the James O'Connor Tradesperson of the Year award. It's always one there's a lot of interest in as well, given James's legacy and his long-standing reputation in his sector too. So, big night planned again. Say, still time there, 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Brought to you, of course, by Dovida in conjunction with Dovida too. So, get onto midlands103.com, get nominated. That's your key message.
Thank you very much, Ronan.
Nathan, a pleasure to talk to you again soon. So there you go. Like as Nathan says, there's categories there. There is loads of them. And they're often categories that maybe businesses don't get the chance to get recognised in or get that award in. So they're coming from you, the listeners. They're local based. They'll go to a judging panel then, and the awards winners will be announced on Monday the 8th of June at a fantastic gala event in the Tullamore Court Hotel. Now, you know what you have to do there. Time for me. I know what I have to do. I have to get out of here and let Joe Cooney come in and bring you Country Roads. But before that, I just want to say thank you to all the Zealand's contributors, to Conor Temple there speaking about his new product, his AI-driven Rheba.ai, really looking at those pain points in industry or anywhere where there's large machinery and endless manuals too. Big thanks to Tommy Hogan from Athlone Chamber and Shane Ryan from the Faculty of Business and Hospitality in Toos too, speaking about the inaugural Athlone Business Summit that'll take place on the 15th of May. And I started the show by listening to Tom Parlon pay a lovely, heartfelt, glowing tribute to the late Kieran Keenaghan, one of the instrumental founders of the company that we now know as Banagher Precast Concrete, who was laid to rest last Sunday. A fitting tribute to an extraordinary man, as he's been described across many publications and across media over the last week. That's it from me. I'll talk to you all next Tuesday. Take care.